There are many reasons why we run. In The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, running made prisoner Colin feel free. Unsupervised, he could easily have run away during these sessions. Yet the angry and proud young man doesn't. Like Colin, running is our personal tactic of resistance. Our country of origin can be said to be small not only physically but ideologically. One-fifth the size of London, the city-state prefers a political status quo. For a place that has been described as having chaos that is authored or absurdity that is willed, running is a gesture that we can adopt as a counter-strike. That running is an everyday, legitimate, and even banal undertaking which departs from other urban tactics such as parkour, skateboarding, and graffiti, can make it a powerful, poetic comeback in a tightly controlled regime. If we have nowhere to run away to, we can run within a difficult system and personalize the environment in our own way. In the realm of imagination, we can always run wild and run free. Running is how we do not let the bastards grind us down. Good morning. This is Kai, and today we're going to share our thesis Transdimensional Running for Our Lives, a rough guide to a critical strategy for our technologically layered multiverse today. Here is a rundown of our presentation. There is much ground to cover, so let us get moving swiftly. That there is more to life than this is a running leitmotif of the view of reality many of us hold. Buddhist cosmologies view our physical life and the physical world as one amongst other possible lives and worlds. Over and above our primary world, let us call that life 1.0. We argue that we have always run an additional layer to enable us to run away from the gravity of the daily grind. In this internal world, we can let our imagination run wild. In the past 20 years, cyberspace has opened up yet more worlds for us to run away to. We could now run about online, anytime, anywhere, and as anybody. In pointing out that the techno-utopianists consider cyberspace as the contemporary equivalent of the pre-Cartesian notion of a transcendent soul space, Margaret Wertheim encourages us to view the world as a multiverse once more. Indeed, Doug was quoted by Sherry Tucker in saying, "I split my mind. I'm getting better at it. I can see myself as being 2 or 3 or more. I go from window to window. And then I'll get a real-time message, and I guess that's real life. Real life is just one more window, and it's not usually my best." Today, Doug would have enjoyed the so-called Web 2.0. Online worlds, such as the suitably named Second Life, has further expanded our Life 2.0. Alluding to the emergence of Web 3.0 that has added yet new layers to our life recently, we term our current condition Life 3.0. The proliferation of wireless, portable computer devices has freed us from the desk indoors, encouraging us to run about not only online, but while we're also on the run outdoors. We now virtually have the whole virtual world on our hands as we run about in Life 1.0. Geolocated functions of application softwares enable us to superimpose our Life 2.0 into Life 1.0 in hybrid realities, inviting us to return to the view of the world as one with multiple layers. Now, running against this multi-layered mise-en-scène are new debates to the long-running discourse of body versus mind versus technology, with the emergence of such notions as the cyborg. At the same time, we're reminded by Bruce Chatwin of human beings' compulsion to travel, for without change, our brains and bodies rot. Indeed, increasingly, we cannot run away from the internet, which permeates every aspect of our everyday life. More than ever before, we are now able to undertake what Chatwin calls journeys of the mind and body in this brave new world. Before we run out of breath and the next layers of the so-called Web 4.0 and Life 4.0 encroach, we run into the question: how can we run our lives in order to get the best of all worlds of our technologically layered multiverse today? Our days of surfing the television or computer are numbered. Mobile internet has made us location independent and nearly baggage free to become digital nomads. For craftwork, cycling is the perfect expression of the philosophy of man and machine working in union to negotiate time and space. Yet, unlike the grandfathers of electronic music, not everyone has the financial access to expensive machines. While poetic and evocative, both jumping and flying are too easy and removed from everyday life. We could return to the psychogeographical strategy of walking, as expounded by Baudelaire, Benjamin, and Debord. Yet, as a low-impact locomotion, walking poses an inadequate response to the speediness and intensity of technological change today, which Michael Heim has described as an ontological shift. Heim himself proposes the ancient Chinese arts of Tai Chi as a counterpoint. Yet Heim's brand of techno-Taoism, his words, is too esoteric and exotic, even for us. In the light of the shortfalls of these approaches, we turn to follow the footsteps of computer scientist Alan Turing, who was also a top marathon runner, and proposed the critical strategy of what we call trans-dimensional running, for us to run, manage, navigate, and negotiate our technologically layered multiverse today. The tactic refers to running in the physical, virtual, and metaphorical senses, in dimensions physical, non-physical, and metaphysical, with the assistance of the Internet community, a fertile imagination, and a state of mindfulness. There are two levels that precede transdimensional running. At the fundamental level is the tactic of intra-dimensional running, in which we run within each life. Running intradimensionally in the city, for instance, we can defy grand narratives dictated by the city planners. A female runner, including those of modest physical stature and of a minority ethnicity, can feel safe and empowered negotiating a big city the way a flaneuse is unable to. And let all the CCTV cameras follow our movements, but we runners will register as nothing more than blurs, as if in the future is painting. When we run intradimensionally, we are able to personalize and take ownership of each of the world in a way a non-runner cannot. The next level is the tactic of interdimensional running, in which we run to and fro lives. We borrow Norman Guillardou's conceptualization of the chaosmos that governs the Tao, and which he defines as that which embraces both chaos and cosmos, non-being and being, nature and culture. In running in the chaosmos of the various lives, the interdimensional runner runs in a powerful place in between yin and yang, yet incorporating both. It is when we run in this third place between all tuners that we run into contrasting values from the different lives. These places of collusion, collision, and chaos are emptied of distinctions, locations, and orders. In subjectively picking and mixing the contradictory values from the various lives, the interdimensional runner is able to get the best of both worlds. The combination of intra and interdimensional running carries the runner forward to the third and final level, that of the tactic of trans-dimensional running. Extrapolating from Taoism, which literally translates to path, we argue that by running transdimensionally, we're able to produce our own transdimensional desire path. Subjective and specific to our individual needs, the paths are ephemeral and can be shared online to be edited by other interested members of the Internet community. Hence, they are anchored in the external world as they are in the internal. After all, when running, we're alternately down to earth as well as detached from worldly affairs in the chaosmos of the real and imaginary. Our transdimensional desire path can guide us to have a better understanding of our place in the world today and allow us to get the best of all worlds. A core component of our thesis is our studio work, nodding to both fantasist traveler Don Quixote as well as the Buddhist marathon monks of Japan who run for 1,000 days to seek transcendence. Kaidi, played by this writer, is a trans-dimensional runner who runs for 1,000 days within and to and fro the various lives, including Nondon, performed by the City of London, in search of the meaning of life, while the monk who fails his mission must disembowel himself. Kaidi expires on the last day of the 2012 London Olympics. There are multiple outcomes in platforms online and offline, including a travel blog. By providing advice to and collaborating with Kaidi, our audience become co-runners and co-authors of this Do It With Others game performance digital storytelling exercise. And to better embody and be fully embedded in this case study, we, the actor and author, have picked up running in real life. Our studio work is located in the intersection of the travel fantasy, the essay and the essay film, internet art, GPS drawing, locative art, the durational performance and, related to that, the realist tradition of cinema. Works that problematize the notion of reality and identity. Works that propose new ways of looking at the world and works belonging to the tradition of the absurd. Our written thesis has diverse roots too, including sports, technology, metaphysics, psychology, geography, and the arts. There will be a glossary cum index section in our thesis to define the technical terms from the diverse disciplines. Yet, the glossary is not conclusive, as many terminologies such as Web 2.0 remain contested. On one level, our studio work is an application of the thesis, yet our findings in turn influence our theorization of transdimensional running. As we run backwards and forwards between theory and practice, so too will the reader run with us in the chaosmos of theory and practice. In this way, the reader can also generate their own subjective paths. At this point, you may be demanding a clarification from us on the definition of we as the functioning pronoun in this work. Already in 1996, Sherry Turkle observes that the Internet concretizes and makes more urgent the question of identity as multiplicity. Instead of who am I, Turkle says that the more pertinent question today would be who am we? With Web 2.0, the notion of identity has become even more expanded and elastic, as exemplified by YouTube, MySpace, and the I-ification of our cultural landscape by Apple. Hence, the we of our thesis includes diverse beings, depending on the context. We have previously played the role of Kai Liv or Kai Life, an alleged audience member who interviewed Kaidi about her quest, and Kai Lives, who had to stand in for Kaidi in a performance lecture when Kaidi suddenly disappeared. With such self-reflexive frameworks, we're able to explore the tension of the chaosmos of live versus recorded, real versus in-world, voice-over versus moving images, critical distance versus immersion, delivered in a Brechtian, deadpan manner, recalling the formalism of Wallet Rad's austere performance lectures as the fictitious Atlas Group. The tensions between the dichotomies are augmented. It is when we, myself and Kaidi, Kailif, as well as you, the audience, run in the third place between these dialectics that the true significance of this work lies. The overall contribution of the thesis lies in the chaosmos of theory and practice. It makes a new synthesis that has not been made before through the connection of previously unrelated views. This thesis presents a new psychogeographical strategy that converges our technologically generated worlds with the real world, allowing us to navigate, manage, and negotiate our reality in a new way. Our thesis expands our understanding of our relationship with our increasingly complex lives. By carrying out a 3-year durational performance and by embodying the character Kaidi in our real life, we carry out empirical work that follows the footsteps of existing work, but also in a new combination since Kaidi's quest is an online collaborative endeavor. Also, rather than merely a theoretical framework, transdimensional running is a lived, everyday tactic. The thesis also brings new evidence to bear on the ongoing discourse of the body versus mind versus technology. Running is arguably an activity that utilizes little or no technology. In its most unembellished form, practitioners can run shoeless or even indeed naked, as Phidippides did 2,500 years ago. Web 2.0 allowed us to leave our bodies behind and run away into online worlds, but the portable Web 3.0 devices pull us back to meet space, hence reminding us of the presence and limitations of our flesh and blood machines and indeed our mortality. And let it be known, too, that our mind must work as actively as our body when we run. As Daniel Schiffman, creator of software processing, says, I do all my best programming while jogging. As if a counterpoint to his rigorous research, Alan Turing would break a busy day by undertaking a vigorous 3-hour run midday. Yet, in the perfect epitome of the synthesis of mind, body, imagination, and technology, it was in the middle of such a run that Turing conceptualized the modern computer. Who better than the marathon monks to return to in the discussion of the importance of the lucidity of the mind and spirit when the body runs? The monks chant while carrying scriptures and running a total distance of 40,000 kilometers across 1,000 days. Self-proclaimed cyborgs and cyborg lovers could get out of their ivory towers and learn from the 16th century exercise, which has feet firmly on the ground while reaching for self-transcendence. Just as running is an accessible undertaking, our tactic of running can be mobilized by anyone. Those who submit themselves to what William Gibson terms as the consensual hallucination of cyberspace, and those who are immobilized by fear from the digital revolution alike, will find the tactic useful too. We are biologically built to run, being the only bipedal animal with a posterior and the ability to sweat. Indeed, for 2 million years we relied on running long distances for survival, to hunt for food. We learned to stop running when our parents and our teachers shouted, "No running." Running allows us to be reacquainted with our compulsion to indulge in the ludic. As the philosopher Runner asserts, running is a form of play, and humans need to play in order to become authentic, in order to strive towards their potentiality. This same ludic instinct governs our running about in Life 2.0 and Life 3.0. Writer Haruki Murakami, a marathon and Ironman veteran, goes as far as to say how running and not his books could help improve the world. When we run backwards and forwards in the cosmos of contradictory values, we also fight against our own passivity, inertia, flabbiness, and paralysis of our body and mind. Our worlds, external and internal, become larger. Rather than feeling lost, we can now make sense of and exploit the complex multiverse that we live in. We disrupt familiarity and linearity and run away from any comfort zones. Mindfully staying disoriented, we allow ourselves to be challenged by the evolving terrain. Transdimensional running is our refusal to be pigeonholed, freeing us from entrapping even ourselves. While we aspire to be like the marathon monks and Lola, who runs to outrun her fate in Run Lola Run, like Colin, we also run as a tactic of resistance. When imprisoned for nearly 70 days underground, Chilean miner Edison Pena would run up and down the tunnels because running set him free. Referring to the mountain of earth entrapping them, Pina explains, I could just lie down, but my fury has been channeled into a hatred towards this mountain. I wanted the mountain to get bored, seeing me run. I'm not defeated. I'm fighting. I feel that by running, I'm fighting to live. Doomed to stay alive in this and subsequent layers of lives, we can unstuck and empower ourselves by running. The same way Sisyphus made himself happy when stuck in the never-ending existence, we can adopt the tactic of transdimensional running as a means to maximize our existence and get the best of all worlds. After all, as if in a video game in which we have endless lives, life goes on, or rather, lives go on. The tactic of transdimensional running is as much a visceral counter-strike as it is a celebration of our technologically expanded lives. It is a playful, personal, philosophical, political, poetic, and fantastical means of running our mad and marvelous multiverse today, as well as subsequent layers of lives to come. Are we ready for the best run of our lifetimes? This life, every life. After all, discourse, from the Latin discursus, refers to a running from one place to another. Let us get moving with Kaidi. Thank you very much indeed.